Good morning, everybody. Our story today is titled Apples, and it was written by Ken Robbins. He's the author. And if you look, friends, this is a real apple. It's a real photograph. So there's no illustrator. Ken Robbins also took the photos for this story. So we've been learning about trees and foods that grow on trees. So I figured I'd pick an apple book because some of you are wondering, how do apples grow? So this book will tell us how apples are grown. Let's check it out. An apple. An apple is a wonderful thing, a perfect handful of a portable food. That means you can walk around and eat it. It's wrapped in a package of its very own skin. Apples, of course, are a kind of fruit. They are round and shiny, delicious and sweet, crisp to the bite, and they grow on trees. People have been growing them for thousands of years. It's a long time. Apples can be red or yellow, or they can be green. Sometimes they can be all three. So if you look, we have our red apple, our green apple, and our yellow apple. And in the top corner, this apple has multiple colors. It's a little bit yellow on the bottom, and they're showing you it's a little bit red in the middle as well. So sometimes apples can be more than one color. You can grow apple trees from apple seeds, but you never know what kind of apples will grow. That's why in most orchards, the apple trees are not ever grown from seeds. That's an interesting fact. So friends, when you're eating an apple, you can see the brown seeds in the middle of your apple, but farmers that grow trees do not start with the seeds. Let's see how they grow apples. Instead of using the seeds, friends, a branch from a tree that makes a particular kind of apple is joined or grafted onto the trunk of a small tree that already has roots. The two grow together when they are planted in the ground, and the result is a tree that produces the same kind of apple year after year. So friends, if you look, this tree is already sort of big. I see the big tree trunk, and it looks kind of silly at the bottom. There's a bump. That's because a farmer took a little teeny tiny branch and he wrapped it around it almost like a band-aid, so the trees are together. And as they grow, that extra branch will start growing with the big tree trunk. And that's how they grow apples. That's called grafting. So they wrapped the bottom of the tree so that the two pieces of trees will grow together. That's how they make apples. In 10 years, the planted tree is big enough and ready to grow fruit. The growing season starts with pruning the trees or cutting away the dead branches. Wow. Friends, it takes 10 years to start growing apples. That's a really long time. So as you can see, this cutter is trimming the branches. That's how they start to grow. It's almost like a haircut. When you get a haircut, your hair is nice and healthy and grows. So the farmer is cutting these trees so that new limbs and new branches will grow for the apples. And here we have a photograph of the farmer. As you can see, the trees are pretty big because it's been growing for 10 years. And he uses a big stick to help trim the tree. He's giving it a haircut. In the spring, the trees in the apple orchard burst into bloom. See the flowers in the background? It says some have pink flowers and some have white flowers. Take a look at these boxes, friends. Soon the orchardist, that's an apple farmer, he sets out hives of bees in the orchard. Some keep the bees themselves, and others pay a beekeeper to bring them to the orchard when they are needed. So friends, these boxes are bee homes. They're bee boxes, and bees love flowers. They help the flowers grow. Here is a whole bunch of apple blossoms you see on the beautiful apple trees. And here is a close-up of the bee. Now he gets in that flower and he gets some dust like pollen on him, and he helps when he goes to all the flowers. He's making the flowers healthier and healthier by dusting that pollen. This orange and yellow stuff, that's the pollen that helps the flowers grow. There's no flower on this page. Let's see what happened. When the petals fall off the flower, what's left is called an ovary. That's this bump right here. It starts to swell or get bigger. That is the beginning of an apple to be. Inside that swell are tiny seeds. If they were ever planted one day, they would make new trees. So this little tiny bump is the beginning of an apple. It doesn't look like an apple yet, huh? So it grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it does turn into an apple. It takes 10 to 20 weeks for the apples to reach full size and ripen. By August, the limbs of the tree are chock full of fruit. Wow, it can take 10 weeks or it can take 20 weeks for an apple to grow and be ready to be eaten. That's a long time. Here are delicious apples. As you can see, they grow together in bunches. And here, the farmer is picking them. So take a look at this photo, friends. He's standing on a ladder because the tree is quite tall, and he has this sack or bucket. It's wrapped around his shoulder, and on his belly is like a belt strap. That's because when he picks the apples, if he drops them to the ground, they'll bump the ground and they'll get pretty yucky and you won't want to eat them. So he puts the apples in his bucket to keep them safe. And at the bottom, you see that's all the apples he's picked so far. That's a lot. And then he gets off of his ladder and he dumps his little sack out into the bucket. It says, eventually it's harvest time. Time to pick the apples before they fall to the ground and spoil. At some orchards, you can pick your own apples. Here's a little boy picking his apples at the apple orchard. Some apples will be squeezed into presses for apple juice and apple cider. This apple press is nearly 100 years old. That's very old. So to make apple juice, friends, this big machine presses or squeezes the apples and all the juice comes out. And here there's a little girl with her delicious apple cider or apple juice. Some apples will be peeled and sliced and sugared and spiced and baked into a pie. Yummy, yummy. And here is the end of the pie. They've added a crust on top and it's ready to eat. What do you think they're going to do with this pot? Take a look. You're going to make something. It's a food. It's really soft. You can eat it with a spoon. And it rhymes with boss. Apple sauce. Some apples are cored and quartered and tossed into a pot to make applesauce. And some will just be taken into your hand. Perhaps they're rubbed on your shirt to polish clean and have a wonderful crisp and crunchy sound, munched all around and swallowed down. She looks like she's enjoying her apples. So friends, now we know how apples are grown. First, they start with a 10-year-old tree, then they trim the tree, and then the flowers grow, and the bees help the flowers, and then it starts out as a teeny tiny bump, and eventually gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, friends, maybe you'll have an apple snack today. I have some apples in my refrigerator, so if you have some apples, enjoy. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.